Hello, my name is Simran Kaur. My candidate number is 4768. The centre name is Herschel Grammar School and the centre number is 51407. My chosen stimulus is Corona Diaries. The stimulus Corona Diaries is a photograph created by Kirsty McKay during the COVID-19 pandemic, who wanted to document and share her journey during this difficult time. Let me take you back to late 2019, when the world was largely unaware of the impending global crisis. Reports began to surface about a new virus emerging in Wuhan, China.
Mysterious pneumonia outbreak in Wuhan, China.
A new type of coronavirus.
The number of affected countries has tripled.
Media coverage was mixed. Some sources labelled it as exaggerated or even a hoax, while others provided alarming updates on the growing death toll and the pressure on healthcare systems.
The World Health Organization has just declared that this is a pandemic.
Supermarket shelves were emptied as people rushed to stockpile essentials like toilet paper and hand sanitizer. On March 23, 2020, Prime Minister Boris Johnson addressed the nation. He stated clearly,
"You must stay at home."
Through my research, I came across some artifacts that complemented the stimulus, such as The Great Empty, which was a photo exhibition that was released by the New York Times, highlighting the dystopian feel that painted across public spaces. As well as this, a piece of poetry called Lockdown, written by Simon Armitage, that captures the implementation of the lockdowns all across the UK. I chose this stimulus because it encapsulates multiple aspects that can be integrated into our final performance, allowing the audience to reflect on their own COVID-19 experiences, whether good or bad. Themes like mental health, bereavement, and community remain relevant in our daily lives. Our first-hand experience with COVID-19 enables us to explore and connect deeply with the stimulus, making it an ideal choice for our final performance. Now, how can I use this research to come up with ideas for a final performance? My group and I then got together to compile all of our research on the stimulus. We then picked out the characters, locations, situations, objects, and as many themes and issues we could find and put them into a table. This would help spark ideas, and after further analysis, plots and storylines became more tangible. I chose the following words and analysed them from each section: characters, location, situations, objects, and themes and issues. Now, how can I create a devised performance inspired by some of these keywords? After analysing the words we picked out, we decided to improvise 12 potential scenes, using one word from each section of our original table to inspire us. We then organised our 12 improv scenes into 3 rows, the top being the ones we definitely wanted to include, the middle being the ones that we needed to work on, and the bottom being the ones we completely got rid of. We also organised them from left to right, within each row and how much we liked them. On the left-hand side in the top row, we had the scenes 8, 12, 6, and 9. Research flashback. This scene, I believed, had a lot of potential and was a good way to exemplify the impact of COVID. Impact of education. This is one of the most common themes we had come across during our research. NHS problems. This scene we also believed to have a lot of potential as it explored the difficulties that people faced who were very desperate for medical assistance. Vaccine crisis. This scene explored the impact on worldwide coverage of media. The amount of conspiracies and theories that were circling around in regards to the vaccine and the side effects led to a lot of backlash by the general public. Bereavement. One of the key themes surrounding COVID is the extraordinarily high death rate that put a lot of strain on relationships with families and friends. Media influence. This scene conceptualized the positive and negative impact of social media on our young people. In the middle row, we have the scenes 5, 11, 2, and 3. Clap for our carers. This scene would be interesting to develop, but doesn't have enough material to work with as of now. Elderly struggle. This scene again reinforces this theme of community, but seemed quite messy when improvising, and again a lack of material. Life at home. This scene was used more as a filler to carry forward the storyline of the single mum and captures a different aspect of life by showing given circumstances. Quarantine. This scene I believed had interesting ideas to develop upon, since I believed it could tug at the heartstrings of the audience. In the bottom row, we had the scenes 7 and 1. Family adaptation and online workout. Both of these scenes were scrapped due to the repetition of themes and their lack of connection to the original stimulus. Both scenes felt big and unnecessary to include and difficult to develop on. Now, what is the performance vision for our performance? We are a group of 6 15-year-olds who live through the COVID-19 crisis and aim to shed light on the different stories people have lived through. This is our story. The title of our play will be called Corona Diaries, inspired from the stimulus itself. We aim to convey themes of mental health, education, sickness and bereavement. Initially, we wished to cover 3 storylines of a family, a young girl and an old man, but due to an issue with timing and focus of our play, we instead merged the old man storyline alongside the families. We will be performing in a naturalistic style, as well as include some non-naturalistic aspects through Arturian and Brechtian inspiration. As part of our performance vision, what practitioner could inspire our work? Emma Rice is a renowned theatre director, writer and actress, known for her innovative and distinctive style in theatre production. She was the artistic director of Knee High Theatre, a UK-based company, before funding her own company, Wise Children. Here's an overview of Emma Rice's background and her work with Knee High Theatre, including the techniques they use to create the unique performances. Of our research, my group and I went to go watch Emma Rice's Bluebird. I personally drew a lot of inspiration from this and picked up on a stylist technique of line stories. This is when both characters interact without touching or looking at each other. This non-naturalistic technique reminds the audience that it's just a performance. Me and Verwan tried this out by including a choreographed shoulder lean. We believed this would be impactful to show how relationships were still intact yet still distant at the same time, playing into the 2 meters distant one. What else could I research to help our performance convey themes correctly? In order to give my performance more depth, I conducted some extensive research on some of the ideas and elements of my particular plot. Lily, a teenager going through significant shock due to the pandemic, was divided and confused about her educational pursuits and how her family's lack of support could ultimately damage her own mental health. How could I get to know my character better to help me characterize more effectively?
Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Lily West, a 17-year-old from South East London. Lily is here to share her experiences in navigating the challenges of her final year of A-levels during the unprecedented lockdown. Thank you for joining me today. How are you feeling?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm good. I mean, I am feeling quite stressed with the whole lockdown and everything. It has been tough, quite isolating if I'm being honest. And then on top of all of that, I have my A-levels to be studying for, so yeah, it has been a lot.
I can only imagine. Can you tell me more about the lockdown and how it has impacted your studies and daily routine?
Well, where do I even start? It's been hard to stay focused. Online classes aren't the same as being in school, and it's difficult to keep going or frankly find any reasoning to stay motivated when I'm stuck at home all the time, every day and every night. The isolation has been the worst part, really. I miss my friends and the normality of school life.
You mentioned feeling isolated. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, I guess so. I mean, it's just me and my dad at home. I mean, my dad is around, but he's not really present, if that makes sense. He works a lot, and even when he's home, he's not really there for me emotionally. So it's just me most of the time. I spend a lot of time in my room, studying, or just trying to distract myself, really.
It must be difficult, balancing everything at the same time. How do you cope with the stress and isolation?
I mean, personally, I try to stick to a routine. It helps me to have some structure. I also talk to my friends online, which helps a bit, and I try to remind myself why I'm doing all of this in the first place. My goal is to become a doctor, and that dream is the reason, and it keeps me going.
That sounds marvellous. Now, what kind of doctor do you want to be?
I'm not entirely sure yet. I mean, I'm interested in general practice because you get to help a variety of people with different issues. But I'm also considering psychiatry, given my own experiences in mental health. I want to be able to support others who might also be going through similar struggles, but I guess we'll see.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you have any role models or mentors who have supported you along the way?
Yeah, of course, 100%. My biology teacher, Mrs. Taylor. She's been amazing. She's always encouraging me and believes in me, and she's the one who really actually sparked my interest in medicine. And of course my friends, they might not fully understand what I'm going through, but they're always there to listen and support me, I guess, in their own ways.
Thank you so much, Lily, for sharing your story. Best of luck with your studies and your journey onwards to becoming a doctor. Are we done? Cut? Okay. Tony, get me my caramel latte instantly.
Following the interview, I decided to reflect on the new information that I had learned. In order to capture this, I decided to create a role on the wall. How can I understand the thoughts and emotions of my character at different moments in the play? As part of exploring my character, I decided to fully delve into the thoughts of Lily. I decided to do this by writing multiple diary entries from various moments in the play from her point of view, capturing what her internal dialogue would be. The different moments in the play included her first day at school, her interactions with her friends, and her being informed of the changes to her A-levels due to the lockdown. Moreover, I initially struggled to portray Lily's perspective in one of the scenes in particular, where her father learns about her report card. So, I deliberately wrote a longer diary entry in a more poetic manner that I then utilised as her monologue in order to break down the fourth wall, giving the audience a glimpse into her thoughts. This diary entry serves as a motif throughout the play, alongside the other characters as well, blending into the overall concept of Corona Diaries. What are some other rehearsal techniques that I could use to study and improve my physical characterization? To further deepen my understanding of Lily's mannerisms, we had a little fun in an exercise known as Park Bench. This provided me an opportunity to explore how Lily might interact with strangers or even navigate situations outside her own narrative, giving me a broader perspective on her behaviour. By applying Laban's levels of efforts, which categorise movements and gestures based on their weight, space, time and force, I was able to experiment with different physical and emotional responses. After the exercise, I reflected on Lily's mannerisms and the feedback that I had received from my friends drawing parallels to specific animals that shared similar characteristics, focusing on how it moves, reacts and communicates through body language. This not only helped me to replicate certain movements, but also to embody the essence of Lily's character better. How can I understand my character's feelings and how they develop and progress through certain scenes? To finalise the emotional characterisation for Lily in the report card scene, I employed the Stanislavskian explorative strategy of uniting. This technique involves dissecting a scene into smaller sections, called units, which our characters strive to achieve through their dialogue and actions on stage. By breaking the report card scene down in this way, I was able to pinpoint the exact emotions tied to each small objective of Lily and analyse how the nature of her verbal and physical responses helped Lily achieve her goals. Furthermore, we used blocking to decide the most efficient way to move across the stage for scene changes, but also for communicating meaning. Using the uniting and rehearsal techniques to explore different types of movement relevant to the specific scene and the character that I was playing. At the start of the performance, I begin on stage in character as Lily, positioned upstage left with my head down while the montage plays in the background. Once the montage ends, I will walk forward onto the stage block, then move off it to downstage left. Here I will pause, and then walk back and exit upstage left. I will re-enter from upstage left as a news reporter, and walk down to downstage left. Once I reach my mark, I will deliver my line and then freeze in position. To transition, I will interact with Nishche, removing my exterior trench coat, revealing Lily's costume underneath. I will then move to downstage center, leaning on the block. Afterwards, I will move further downstage center, throwing away the diary entry in the bin at the front and then exit upstage left. I will return as a receptionist, bringing on a chair from upstage left. I will place the chair behind the third block using it as a desk. I will then exit upstage left, taking the chair with me as I go. I will then re-enter as Lily from upstage left and walk downstage along the left side. After rounding to downstage center, I will sit on the chair in front of the desk. Following the blackout, I will stand up and pull my fellow actors to their feet. I will move the stage blocks back together and then lie down on them. After Kirsty McKay enters, I will stand and exit upstage right. As Dr. 2, I will enter from upstage right, walking hurriedly down the right side and around the front to the center stage left. Here I will move the curtain to cover the blocks before walking around to center stage behind the curtain. I will pace back and forth between center stage and center stage left before exiting upstage left. For the final scene, I will re-enter as Lily, coming in from upstage left. I will walk around to downstage center where I will remain with the rest of the cast for the closing bow. How could I use costume to convey social context, historical context, and meaning? In a perfect world without financial constraint, this is the costume and look I would pick for Lily. Lily's style reflects the heaviness of her world during the pandemic. Effortless, but not by choice. She lives in an oversized grey hoodie, worn joggers, and matted fluffy slippers, prioritising comfort over appearance. Her hair would be loosely tied back, unkempt, and practical. She would wear a tarnished necklace and frayed friendship bracelet, hinting at sentimental ties that she's trying to hold on to. She would also have over-ear headphones and a cracked phone, reflecting her lifelines to music and the outside world. Her look feels understated and raw, perfectly capturing the isolation, anxiety, and quiet resilience of a student during lockdown. What changes can I make to my characterization to make the artistic intention clearer? As part of rehearsals, I was given the opportunity to perform for a live audience with my group. Here is the following feedback which we received. Now on to the evaluation. The artistic intention of our performance Corona Diaries was to explore the psychological and emotional impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, highlighting themes of isolation, uncertainty, and resilience. After implementing the changes based on feedback from our practice audience, it became clear that these adjustments significantly improved how effectively the performance's themes were communicated, linking back to the original stimulus. I then created a feedback form that allowed audience members to share their thoughts and individual responses to specific scenes. Here's an overall evaluation on the success of these changes and how it was received by the audience.
Pause here to read.
In particular, I believe the amendment made to the GP receptionist character was one of the most effective. This encouraged the audience to reflect on the permanent impact of the global pandemic, impacting daily life, delaying medical care, increasing dependence on digital communication, and the normalization of remote working. All changes that continue to affect how we live till this day. This scene successfully evoked a sense of discomfort and helplessness in the audience, prompting them to consider the long-term consequences of the pandemic and the vulnerability of essential systems during times of crisis. With these changes in mind, I reflected on the overall general execution and how I felt it went. Here is my individual reflection.
Pause here to read.
However, I believe I could have improved by focusing on the following areas. Number 1, Lily's storyline. Number 2, monologue delivery. And number 3, scene complexity. For future performances, I will focus on deepening character development, particularly by exploring more meaningful relationships between characters to enhance emotional depth. I will also refine my vocal delivery and pacing to ensure that key moments resonate more powerfully with the audience. Additionally, I will dedicate more time to rehearsing complex transitions and stage techniques to create smoother scene changes and maintain narrative flow. Lastly, I will actively seek and apply audience feedback throughout the development process to ensure the performance effectively communicates its intended themes and emotional impact. In conclusion, our performance Corona Diaries was a powerful transformation of our initial ideas inspired by Kirsty McKay's photograph. The image capturing the isolation and stillness of the pandemic became the foundation for exploring themes of emotional vulnerability, societal disconnection, and community. Through continuous reflection, creative exploration, and thoughtful amendments, we developed a performance that authentically conveyed our artistic vision and resonated deeply with the audience. Every decision, from the expressive portrayal of Lily to the realistic staging and Brechtian transitions, was carefully crafted to reflect the lasting impacts of the pandemic. The audience's response confirmed that our performance successfully evoked the emotions and reflections we aim to inspire. Now that the performance has come to completion, I'm incredibly proud of how we brought this concept to life and how effectively it was executed. Thank you for being a part of this journey and engaging with the story we created.